So for the past 45 years, basically since the mid-1960s in this country, most institutions of higher learning have practiced something called affirmative action. Affirmative action is basically a way of trying to increase opportunities for people who come from disadvantaged groups, including racial minorities. In order to try to level the playing field for many racial minorities, colleges had to consider someone's racial background as part of a larger process that also looked at things like SAT scores, experiences, socioeconomic status, gender, and race. Now, I think affirmative action has helped many racial minorities get opportunities that they did not get many decades ago. It did help to level the playing field for many people who had historically been disadvantaged due to our country's long history of slavery, racism, and some of those other isms. So Dr. Z and I both come from California. California has an interesting history with affirmative action because, interestingly, affirmative action was banned in California back in 1996. There was a ballot proposition that all voters in California got to vote on. It was called Prop 29, and it did end up passing. And what it did was it banned public schools in California, including all of the University of California, or UC schools, and Cal State schools, and any other public institution of higher learning from considering race in their admissions processes. This law took effect in 1998, and that year, following that vote, the enrollment of Latino and Black students at UCLA and UC Berkeley dropped by 40%. That's a huge dip. Since then, the state has spent over $500 million trying to figure out how to boost diversity efforts at its public universities, but it is still not meeting its goals of where it wants to be. Right now, as we're recording this, it's September of 2023. And just a few months ago, there was a major Supreme Court ruling that made headlines throughout the country because it affects admissions processes at colleges and universities throughout the country, including medical schools. So there were these two cases that the Supreme Court was considering. One was called Students for Fair Admissions versus Harvard, and the other one was called Students for Fair Admissions versus the University of North Carolina, or UNC. They both boiled down to the same issue, so they were being considered by the court together. Both of these cases resulted from lawsuits against Harvard and UNC by an organization that claimed that considering race as a part of the college admissions process was a violation of the Civil Rights Act of 1965. In other words, the organization claimed that considering race as a factor in admissions was unfair and basically a violation of equal rights protections that exist in the Constitution. Now, it's important to know that the leader of the organization that filed these lawsuits, the Students for Fair Admissions organization, is a well-known anti-civil rights activist named Edward Bloom. He has been behind many lawsuits that have arguably taken this country backward in terms of racial equality. Sadly, in June of this year, 2023, the Supreme Court ruled that affirmative action programs violate the Equal Protection Clause of the 14th Amendment. In other words, they ruled that affirmative action programs that take race overtly into consideration as part of the admissions process are unconstitutional. So that's a big deal, right? Mm-hmm. So as a result, colleges and universities across the nation, including medical schools, cannot overtly consider race as a factor in their admissions processes. And, I'm going to highlight this quote that this is from the Legal Defense Fund. They have an excellent website, and they were opposed to this ruling, and they have a good summary of the case on their website. But they said this, and this really highlights the importance of different types of diversity, including racial diversity. They say, it has been proven time and time again that diversity benefits all students. Research shows that diverse learning environments help all students build skills associated with academic success, including critical thinking, problem-solving ability, student satisfaction and motivation, general knowledge, and intellectual self-confidence. In addition, cross-racial interactions can reduce prejudice and stereotypes, enhance empathy, and open minds. Students of all racial backgrounds benefit from racially diverse learning environments and are better equipped to succeed in today's workplaces and serve today's clientele. So that just really highlights, what you're saying, Dr. Z, that it's important. We are benefiting each other, right? And that's part of the importance of why we need greater diversity within the physician workforce, not just to serve certain populations, but also to enhance our learning for everyone.